Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. You're with Nicole, and if you're new here, I share lots of delicious homestyle recipes as well as baking tips and tricks. Today is no different. We are going to be making a really delicious apple tea cake. This tea cake is perfect, as the name says, if you're having tea or coffee, so morning or afternoon tea. It's a really lovely treat to have and it's easy to make as well. So if you don't need a fancy cake and you're just looking for something delicious, then this cake is for you. You've got the beautiful apples, you've got some cinnamon, and it's just really a nice homey kind of recipe to have. I can't wait to share this recipe with you and make this delicious cake. So let's get to it. So it is an absolutely stunning winter's day here. The sun is out, but the air is nice and crisp, and it's the perfect time to enjoy an apple tea cake. So I've got my apples ready to go, and there's actually not too many other ingredients for this recipe. So let me show you what you are gonna need. So I have some apples here, and we are going to peel them and cut them up soon. I also have some all-purpose flour and a bit of baking powder. I've got some sugar and some cinnamon here, and we're going to use that at the end. I've got some white sugar and also some egg and a little bit of vanilla. That is literally it. And last but not least, straight out of the microwave, some melted butter. As always, I will leave all of the ingredients in the description box below for you, and for the full recipe to download and print for free, head to lebonbaker.com. So go ahead, preheat your oven. We're going to turn it on to 180 degrees Celsius or around 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to get that oven nice and warm. You'll also need some hand beaters or a mix master. Whichever one you've got to work with at home is totally fine. I've also got here a sieve, a nice sharp knife, and a little peeler here, and a spatula. That's all you'll need. Oh, one other thing. Grab yourself a cake tin. So I've just lined it here with a bit of parchment paper, and I've oiled the sides as well. If you're unsure as to how to line your cake tin, I do have a video up on my channel. I'll leave it in the description box for you and up here as well. Make sure you check it out. Okay, we're gonna start with the batter. So grab your eggs here, and they can go straight into your bowl. And we're just gonna, oh, don't do that. That's the one. We're going to give it a beat until they're nice and foamy. Time to add in our sugar, and we're just going to continue beating. Now you can add in your vanilla as well, and then we're going to continue to beat. Next up, I'm just going to take my bowl here off, just out slightly, so I can use my sieve. Sieve goes on, and you can add in your baking powder and your flour. So go ahead, add that now. This can just be sifted in. So either just pat your sieve, or you can use a spoon as well, just to get all of that flour and baking powder into our mix. Now this can go back on, and it's just going to get a very gentle beat. Not for too long, just until it's combined. Lastly, to this mix, you can add your melted butter. Then again, give it a low and slow beat until just combined. Okay, my mix here looks lovely. Nice and creamy. Ooh, a bit golden in color. So what we're going to do here is just scrape down the sides, scrape the bottom of the bowl, get anything off the beaters here, and then just give it one last beat just to make sure we've got everything covered. Done. That was super quick. Probably didn't even do it for 15 seconds. So I'm just gonna scrape off the beaters now, and our mix is ready to go. As I said, if you don't have a mix master or a KitchenAid or like a stand mixer, just hand beaters are fine. And if you don't have hand beaters as well, giving it a really good whisk at the beginning when we're beating it, and then incorporating it with a wooden spoon, giving it a nice solid mix would be fine as well. But it is obviously better if you can do it with hand beaters or a stand mixer. That's our mix. Now it's time to prep our apples here. So I've got 3 large apples, and I've got to peel them and then cut them into small pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that going now. These apples look so awesome. They're really big and juicy. I actually just want to take a bite out of one right now. So I'm just going to chop these apples and avoid the core. Cut off all of the cheeks, and then I'll go back and cut them up smaller again. Now, funny story about apples. When I was living in Japan, they were telling the story about how some of the apples are really, really famous. Big apples that are like twice the size of this. How the farmers, they rotate the apple throughout their season so they get even sunlight and they grow perfectly. They're like the most beautiful apples that you've ever seen. And sometimes they even put little protective coats on them to protect them from the harsh environment. It's absolutely crazy. I did not know that they went to all that trouble for one apple. It's pretty amazing. So they were the famous Fuji apples. Absolutely amazing. Twice the size of these. So beautiful. So now I'm just going to chop up these apples into little pieces. You can just do a rough chop as well. They don't have to be perfect. Okay, the apples are chopped. So now it's time to grab our tin here, and they can just go straight in. Apples are in, so at this point we add our sugar here with our cinnamon that has been mixed. We're going to sprinkle it on top, and then I'm just going to give it a toss in here as well to make sure every apple has a bit of this cinnamon sugar. Coat evenly these apples with that cinnamon and that sugar, and this is going to make the cinnamon and the sugar is really going to make these apples pop and sing. It's just going to be so delicious. Okay, so now our batter here can be spread on top. So we are literally going to pour it out and then evenly spread it over these apples. So just start pouring it in. So just scrape down the sides of your bowl, get every last bit of your batter. And this is where everything starts to smell really good because you've got the really nice fresh apples, you've got the cinnamon, and then you've got this beautiful vanilla. It's like a traditional vanilla base, so you can't go wrong with it. It's going to be delish. So with your spatula or your spoon, we're going to spread this batter out over all of the apples. So from side to side, all the way over. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a bit of a tap here on the bench. Let that settle. Now this can go into the oven for about 35 minutes. So I'm going to check it after 20, rotate it, and then let it continue cooking. And then about 35 minutes, we'll bring it out of the oven. So if you do like apple recipes, I do have quite a few other ones up on my channel as well. Apple impossible pie, and I've got an apple caramel pie. That one's probably like my favorite apple pie recipe ever. So definitely check those out too if you love apple recipes. While our tea cake is baking away, you know what time it is. It's time for a positive quote. The one that I have found for you today is, "Challenges are gifts that force us to search for a new center of gravity. Don't find them, just find a new way to stand." That is a quote by Oprah Winfrey. You don't really need to know her last name. Everyone just knows Oprah. Probably one of the most famous people in the world. But anyways, she has definitely got a good point there. Don't fight the challenges, just find a new way to adapt and a new way to stand. Now it's time to clean up. Go get those dishes clean, and then it's back to baking. Ah, it smells so good. There is honestly nothing better than the smell of baked goods coming out of the oven. So my cake here, I checked it at about 30 minutes and I was like, ooh, that's cooking quicker than usual. So I took it out of the oven. So yeah, 30 minutes, literally on the dot. It's nice and warm. You can test it, do the bounce test, put a skewer in the center, clean, so you know you are good. So just let it cool for a couple of minutes before we start maneuvering it. We're just gonna let it set. As it cools, it's gonna start retracting. So the sides are gonna start retracting from the cake tin, which is good. That's exactly what we want. But just to give it a little bit more help, I am just gonna grab my spatula and just run around the sides of it, just to make sure that it doesn't stick. Okay, now, you've got a couple of options. Your options are, once we take this off, I'm gonna have a look at how it looks with that base, so how the apples look. If it's kind of like a little bit more, I would say, not soggy, but a little bit more undercooked compared to the top where it's nice and golden and toasted, you can put it in the grill for about 3 minutes and make it go nice and golden and crispy on top if you like it that way. Some people like a nice and soft apple tea cake. So if you're happy with it as it is, then go ahead and get straight into it while it's warm. So I'm gonna take this out of the tin here. The tin is still pretty warm, so just be careful. Straight up we go. Oh yeah, look at that steam. It's so nice and hot. So take off the base here. Try not to burn yourself. Okay, so the tea cake is out of the tin. Now I'm interested to see what that top looks like and I'll make a decision. So I'm gonna use the base of my cake tin here, pop it on like that, and I am, oh, it's sheer hot, going to flip it somehow. There we go. Ooh, she does look pretty. Look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful. The smell of cooked apple. Oh my gosh, it's just making my mouth water, and the steam, just a beautiful warm apple tea cake. So as I said, now, totally up to you what you're gonna do. Either get into it as it is, it'll be so delicious, nice and warm, or you can toast it up a little bit. As I said, under the grill, 3 minutes. Make it go nice, golden and crispy. Oh, that is something special. So I've decided I am gonna put mine under the grill for those few minutes. So I'm just gonna keep it on this tin here, chuck it on a baking tray, and into the grill we go. So it won't need long at all. It's gonna come out extra crispy and toasty. So while you are waiting, go grab yourself something nice to serve it on, a cute little plate, something to serve your cake with, and something to eat it with. These beautiful cake spades here are my own design and creation. So if you would like one, I will leave the details in my description box below for you. Head to my website, lebonbaker.com, to check it out, because you won't find these anywhere else. Okay, we're coming in hot. There we go. So yeah, as you can see here, I'll shut this grill. Oh, the smell is just elevated. It's just gone so insane. Okay, it's that toasted cinnamon, just divine. So as you can see here, now the apples have gone a little bit more crispy on top, and it's time to eat. So we've got to do the tricky part, which is transfer it to something nice to serve it on, but don't fear, we got this. If we manage to flip this cake and it's still intact, we can transfer it to this. We'll be okay. Okay, that was really awkward to get off, but we have done it. The moment we've all been waiting for. Let's cut this open. So ready to eat some while it's nice and hot. Yum, 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 yum. That looks pretty good to me. Oh yeah, look at that steam, look at the cake, look at the apple. Guys, just make this recipe. So obviously, if you want, you can also add some cream, some ice cream or some custard to it. That would be delicious, but it's also going to be beautiful as it is. It's just beautiful. Such a simple cake. So delicious, so homey, so comforting. I better chuck on the kettle, get some tea boiling. So just to describe the texture a little bit, you got a really nice, simple, light and fluffy base, and then the top has those hot cooked apples, which have still a little bit of a bite to them, which is what you want, but they're still nice and soft to eat as well. And then it's just topped with a little bit of crunch from the sugar and the cinnamon. It really is an awesome cake. Thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today. I know you're gonna love this recipe. Make sure you make it sometime soon. It really is super delicious, super easy to make. If you do like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell as well because I have a new video coming out every single week. Thanks again, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.